Hello and welcome to a second channel video. Some friends asked me to build them 3 custom Game Boys. Their instructions were just to make something that looked pretty original and unmodified, but spruce it up with some really cool mods. They wanted it to look like an original DMG Game Boy, which was actually a real shell that you could have got back in the day, but it was exclusive to Japan. I'm going to be installing some IPS kits in here. I think they're by RetroPixel. But yeah, everything was sent to me by Retro Modding. I'll leave a link to their website in the description below. So I'm going to be using 3 Game Boy Pockets. Annoyingly, I've only got 2 spare ones that don't have the LED, the power indicator, which means I'm going to have to buy some different screen lenses to put on, which I'm not going to have for the video. As you can see, they all work, which is a good start. I'll be using the screens for other slightly rarer Game Boys that have damaged screens, so nothing's actually going to go to waste, but that black one has a really badly burnt screen anyway. I'll use an electric screwdriver to dismantle everything, but it's not advisable when putting things back together in case you over tighten something. This one is a really cool one by Miniware. I'll leave a link to that if you want to check it out. It's very simple taking apart a Game Boy Pocket. It's the one that I advise everyone to do as their first Game Boy repair, because it's basically just one motherboard, one screen, and a few screws. You'll need a tri-wing and a Phillips bit. I'm using mine from my iFixit toolkit. Once you've taken off the back, you'll need to unlatch the ribbon cable and just slide it out. Be very careful. Obviously, I'm actually going to be using these screens later, but if your screen is damaged, then you might as well just rip it out and throw it in the bin. Next up, we're going to now look at the actual mods itself. So, as I said, Retro Modding, big thank you to them for sending me this. You can buy pre-trimmed shells from their website, but this one I'm going to be trimming myself just because I'll show you how to do it, and I don't think it would be fair for me to ask Retro Modding to do that as well as send me all their stuff for free. So inside the box with the screen, you're going to have a bunch of different gubbins for the mod. Immediately, we're going to be using the screen just to figure out where we're going to need to trim the shell. To do this, I'm going to be using some flush cutters and an X-Acto knife. You can use a Dremel if you want, but I thought it'd be a bit messy, and I'll just clean it up afterwards with the X-Acto knife. So just go around and trim the sort of housing for the old screen, which obviously we're not going to be using, and the new IPS display is much larger. So after trimming everything out, I'll go and clean up the cuts with the X-Acto knife. It doesn't actually really matter, to be honest with you, because there's going to be a double-sided adhesive pad that's going to go in. Make sure you trim this small piece off of the LED well, because that's going to get in the way otherwise. Trim all the way around, and yeah, as I said, you're going to be sticking a big pad down, so it's not actually going to matter too much if it's nasty. But I like to be thorough. Look at that black screen, it's absolutely gorgeous. So there we go, that fits in. And now I have to repeat this for the other 2 shells, which you're probably not going to have to do. I really enjoy doing this mod. Like, this is probably one of the most fun ones to do. You can see I'm just sat there with a cup of tea, just cracking on at my desk. It's a very fun little project. Doesn't cost a lot, and it's a very high reward Game Boy. My friends were asking me what different mods are available, and there's loads. You can have wireless charging, USB-C, LED buttons, I mean everything and anything. But I think just a very basic screen mod is pretty much all you need. Less to go wrong, it's less expensive, and a couple AAAs and you're off. So this is the ribbon cable. Now, there is one bit of soldering that you're going to have to do. But if you've never done any soldering before, don't let that put you off, because it's a very easy job to solder this one wire. The wire is included and it's already trimmed and ready to go. I'll be using my mini wear soldering iron as well, which I thought was broken, but actually I just had the wrong adapter. So I'll use a little bit of solder just to put onto the power pad that's right there. And the small wire is just going to go to the pad labeled 1 from the leg on the switch. So I'm just going to tin it up a little bit, add a bit more solder, and then just solder that wire down into place. And now the screen works. There's a touchpad that comes off of the ribbon cable, which if you hold will remove the pixel grid, which I think is absolutely amazing. And if you tap it, it will rotate through the different colors. And as I said, I'm going to have to repeat this for the other two as well. If you want, there is another pad that comes with the kit. You'll have to get another wire, but you can solder it to that touchpad there, and then you can put that pad anywhere you want. It might be cool to have it underneath the screen lens or something like that, or on a different location, but it's completely up to you. The next thing we're going to do is clean up the motherboards. I'm going to be using a bit of isopropyl alcohol. This is a 99.9%. I'll clean up the button membranes to make sure that there's a good, reliable button press, and also clean up these switches to ensure that they are working with good continuity. These things have small metal pins inside which can get oxidized over the years and fill up with crud. So a bit of isopropyl in there and a wiggle around, and that'll have it sorted. And then repeat for the other two boards. This is really worth doing. You can see the black stuff there that's come off the bottom of the silicon membrane that actually has the conductive pad underneath. That is going to cause an issue if you try to press that start button. In fact, I imagine that start button probably wouldn't work more than 5 times out of 10. Don't know why I didn't just say half the time. I saw someone tell me that this isn't going to do enough of a job and that you need to dismantle the switch, but that has got to be the most insane thing I've ever heard. The risk of damaging the switch from doing that is very high, and it's done wonders for me this entire time, so I don't know what they're on about. So there was a small bit of plastic that was sticking out from the poor Chinese mold. Retromodding do get a lot of the shells made themselves, but these ones I think are just standard ones that they sell just to keep people happy, but they're pretty low quality. I would advise getting a different one, unless you're happy to just trim off all the plastic from the over molding of the shell, if that's even the right word. So I'm going to go ahead now and drop the buttons in. You'll see I added that adhesive pad in. I don't actually advise sticking that pad down. There's going to be enough sort of clampage from everything that the screen's not going to move, but it basically makes it irreparable if you remove the back of that film on the screen and then stick it down, because if you try and remove that screen it will just immediately break. So I would advise not doing that. There is enough cushioning in there to hold it into place. I'm going to reuse all of the original button membranes because I don't have any others, and with a bit of isopropyl alcohol and 10 minutes of your time, these will work and have another 20 years of life, if not more. Next up is the screen, so let's go ahead and assemble it. So the ribbon cable just snaps down into the small Lego brick collector. Be really careful when you do that. If you press it too hard you can damage it. There's a small bit of double-sided tape already stuck onto the bottom of that flex PCB. Go ahead and just stick that down into place. I recommend doing that after you've connected the ribbon cable to make sure it's in the right place. Remove the protective film, drop the screen down and sit the bracket into place, and then the motherboard can swing over and be screwed down. And then I'll repeat that for the other two. There's a bit of a theme going on here. So my camera ran out of storage and I didn't capture the part where I put the backs of the shells on, but you can imagine it involved putting the back of the shell on. But we're going to put the stickers on the back now as well, just to finish the whole thing off, and the batteries are in with the battery covers on. We're getting really close here and it's very exciting. Now, as I mentioned, there is a bit of a problem with the screen lenses. There's going to be some holes for LEDs which don't exist, but it's not hard to remove it with a suction cup later on and put the right one down. Because of the DMG style, the screens are like a light grey and they're quite hard to get in a glass, but Retromodding have got some which they're sending me, but I won't have them in time for this video. But there you go, you can see they work and they look absolutely beautiful.